Good morning, family, and happy Saturday. Our theme for the month has been renamed. And so we've been looking at different folks in the scriptures whose name was changed generally to reflect a change in their status or situation, but perhaps even to reflect a change in their character. So last week, Moses and Mamta shared about Abraham and Sarah, who were originally Abram and Sarai. And I think the first week I shared about the idea that the disciples of Jesus were called Christians. They were sort of given a different name. We also looked at Naomi a little bit that first week. But one of the questions I've often been asked is, are you going to do Saul to Paul? And actually, it is erroneously thought by many that his name was changed from Saul to Paul. If you actually look at that passage, it says, now Saul, who is also called Paul. You see, during that time, oftentimes Jewish Roman citizens, they would have sort of a household name, their Jewish name, which he was named after the great King Saul, because he was also of the tribe of Benjamin. And so he was named after the great King Saul, and that was sort of his household name, his Jewish name. But because he was born a Roman citizen, he also had a Roman name, a Latin-based name, and his would have been Paulus, and we often have it translated as Paul. And so I'm actually not going to be doing him this month, but I did want to talk a little bit about why he was probably also, or most likely, called Paul later on more than Saul. And wanted to read a passage in 1 Corinthians 9. This is one of Paul's letters. And verse 19, it says, although I am free from all and not anyone's slave, I have made myself a slave to everyone in order to win more people. To the Jews I became like a Jew to win Jews. To those under the law, like one under the law, though I myself am not under the law, to win those under the law. To those who are without the law, like one without the law, though I am not without God's law, but under the law of Christ, to win those without the law. To win the weak I became weak in order to win the weak. I have become all things to all people, so that I may by every possible means save some. Now I do all this because of the gospel, so that I may share in its blessings. And what I imagine is that, when Saul was dealing with Jews, he probably went by the name Saul, his Jewish name. But because he was sort of designated as apostle to the Gentiles, and he was going out to all these Greek and Latin speaking peoples, all these citizens of the Roman Empire, he went by his Roman name, right? He was just choosing to go by that name in order to relate to them, in order to show, hey, I'm a Roman citizen as well, even though he was Jewish. And to me, it just falls right in line with what he shares here about, I become all things to all people. I become all things to all men, right? In order that I might win some and share in the gospel's blessings. And so, my encouragement today is, in what ways can, ask us the question, in what ways can you or can I become all things to all people, right? And so how can I be more relatable this week, this weekend, to someone in order to share with them Christ? How can I show them a side of God that they may not have known existed, right? Some people have, some fallacy or some incorrect views of God, right? But what can you show the compassion, the love of Christ? Can you show the conviction of Christ to someone? In what ways can you become like someone? And again, not joining in their sin, right? Jesus sat with sinners, but he didn't sin with them. But in what ways can you become like someone, be relatable to someone in order to share Christ with them? Saul or Paul did it as he went about his travels. I'd encourage us to do the same. So that's our inspirational vitamin for today. A little preview for tomorrow. So we're not going to be looking at Saul, or we'll be looking at him a little bit, because tomorrow we're going to be looking at from Joseph, a Levite from Cyprus. Now, that name may not ring a bell to you, but he's also, the apostles called him Barnabas. He was sort of renamed Barnabas. And so we're going to be looking at Barnabas and how Joseph was renamed to Barnabas and what were his characteristics. So that's going to be the sermon for tomorrow as we continue with our renamed series. Hope you have a great weekend. We love you. We'll see you out there.